2, 1.
Today's episode is brought to you by the 2017 Summer Olympics. Wait, those don't exist.
Drop the beat. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 78 of the High Noon Podcast. Things are a little bit different today, as we do have myself as the primary host. I know you all prefer it that way anyways, so that's fine. Yeah, I'm driving the ship today, as the Blevins is in the middle of his move. I think you're all moved in, but you just don't have your internet back?
I'll just say yes.
All right, so somewhere close to that is accurate, so we'll roll with it for now. Anyways, thank you very much for making the time and hanging out at work. Like, you're still at work like an hour and a half late, and I don't know that there's any circumstance on the planet that would have me do something like that.
Well, I have a cool office and a cool job, so
You've got an office and a job.
We'll say. Yeah.
Well, we missed last week, so we do have a lot to cover this week. Not that any of it was from last week or anything. Pretty much everything happened inside the last, 8-9 days or so. It's been pretty crazy. A ton of OWL news. We do also have a World Cup weekend to talk about briefly, and the Apex Finals has happened finally since the last time. Wow. It would have been covered last week, but it would have been like literally the only thing that we talked about last week.
Wait, you mean the Apex Finals from season 1, right? It's finally over.
One of them, yeah. Like season 2's, we're still waiting on the finals for that. They ran 2 and then did the finals for 1. No, but yeah. So let's move right along here and talk about what we did last week. So Blevins, why don't you kick us off here?
Yeah. So like Deathblow alluded to earlier, I am in the end phase of my move. I've got all of my stuff. Well, 90% of my stuff into my apartment. I've just got to set it up, and my internet should be back by next week. So, or it should be up by next week. So everything should be good to go at home. Not have to record here, which is nice. And besides that, I finally caught up on Game of Thrones, so that's good. We can actually start talking about all the spoilers and stuff, which are going to start right now. So
got him.
Just kidding. Don't turn off the episode, which I definitely would have.
Yes.
Actually, pretty much any time on the internet I hear someone say the words Game of Thrones, I immediately exit out or pause or something.
Yeah. It had to have been a dangerous couple weeks for you because you love Reddit, and that's a popular place to talk about things.
Twitch chat too, but the thing about Twitch chat is the attention span is so short that like 2 days after people stop spoiling it.
Right.
Like pretty much actually like the day after people like don't care anymore.
I think it's fun to do that night, and then it's not cool anymore.
Yeah. Then it's like 13-year-olds had to go to school and think about algebra, so they don't do it.
Well, as for myself, I've been doing just about as little as humanly possible since you guys have last heard from me. Honestly, the team got a little bit burnt out. So, we had some people, it's the middle of summer, so people go on vacations with their families. We actually have one of our teammates going to California to watch the World Cup this weekend.
Nice.
So we're actually taking this week off. We took the second half of last week off as well. So we just had some unfortunate absences that were unavoidable. It became a little difficult to find fillers, and we decided just to capitalize on it and take a break. It's a good time for it, because when we get back starting next week, it'll be like the final stretch of the season. I'm still currently sitting in Masters. Most of the team is still currently sitting in Masters. There might be one that's just outside of it. This season has just been absolutely brutal for solo queue, so we're just about not doing that. So it's just like do the bare minimum to not decay so that you keep your SR in the right range to, make you place better next season. Like I want to place mid-diamond. I don't want to place in plat anymore and have to climb the whole of diamond. I just want to start in diamond, get to masters, and then basically stop doing ranked before you've played a single placement game for the season. That's been my goal.
Well,
But moving things right along here, we have what did you guys do last week? And of course, that means
Overwatch Overwatch Today meme of the week.
Yeah, we have the Overwatch Today meme of the week. Blevins, you picked it. You love this segment. It's your favorite one of the show.
Yep.
So why don't you go ahead and tell us what the meme is?
For
this
sure.
week?
So this this meme, I saw this one I think last week, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be it. This is what I love to do. I always love to just like every once in a while go on Instagram and like check. I mean, I follow a lot of people, but I always get some Overwatch Today in there, and I'll see one like early in the week, and I'm like, okay, that's gonna be the one, unless there's something that's like significantly better. But this is a good one.
Or says I need healing anywhere.
Or yeah,
then it wins automatically.
I just post it right in the notes immediately. But this one is in the format, this new format that's been coming up, and honestly, maybe it's because I'm old now. I don't know. I never really got this meme at all. I don't know where it came from or why it happened. But it's the one where like it's 3 lines and everything at the end ends in a C. I don't know. I bet I just sounded as old as I ever will, right? But the first, it's a Doomfist one, and it says he protect, he also attack, but most sadly Terry Crews didn't voice act.
See, when you said this is what I love to do, it's my favorite. I thought you meant start spelling words and then randomly stop for no reason. I thought that's what you meant.
Well, that too.
Yes, so obviously we were very hyped about the possibility of Terry Crews appearing in the game as a voice actor. It did not happen, unfortunately, but nonetheless, I do think the voice actor that did do Doomfest did a terrific job. Just unfortunate for him. It's so easy to get hyped about a guy like Terry Crews because he's so funny and so entertaining.
Literally a hype.
Yeah,
he literally is hype.
He's walking hype. So yeah, it was great to see, but they didn't close the door on him voice acting in the future. I just So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, he said like stay tuned or something like that. I think we talked about it before, but so
Blevins will automatically main whatever character he voice acts. You can count on that. So, but let's move right along here because we do have just a ton of stuff to talk about here.
So much.
And but we'll move right along to
It's tournament talk.
So for tournament talk this week, we do got to catch up. The one thing that did happen last week when we skipped our episode was the Apex Finals did take place, and it was quite a match. We have Lunatic High defeating Kongdu Panthera 4-3 in the finals. So obviously a very closely contested match. It's always great to see when you have those best of sevens in the finals. I hate when they're like, it's like when the Super Bowl's like 552-7. It's like, but it's the last game I get to watch. Can it be a football game?
Yeah.
I would literally rather have the Patriots make a historic comeback and have it be just a phenomenal football game than have, unless it's the Patriots losing 575-0. That I'd rather watch that. But if it's 2 unrelated teams, So yeah. Anyways. A really great match there. Because it is in the past, we're not going to really delve too deep into it. We might at a later date. We're going to kind of rewatch it, I think, and give it some close attention. I got to see a little bit of it. I didn't get to sit down and watch the entire thing. As I've been doing my best impression of a sloth all week, as I've told you guys. So hopefully I can get back in the swing of things and get back used to watching VODs of these, out of country tournaments that are in awkward time zones to catch live. I've been good about watching things live, but not so much things that I have to watch on VODs. So moving along, though, we did have a World Cup weekend this weekend as the matchups were played. Was this in Katowice? I can't remember. I also don't know if I say that correct. Yeah,
it's Katowice.
Katowice.
But I don't know if that's what it was, but that's how you say it.
Well, anyways, I believe that's where it was. Yeah, because there's Poland in this group, so that would make the most sense. And we do have in Group E, surprise, surprise, South Korea won the group. Actually didn't drop a map. Didn't drop a map the entire way. So 3-0 in matches, 12-0 in maps, 9 points, first place in the group. Netherlands came in second at 2-1 with an 8-4 map record, and Poland in front of the home crowd was not able to pull in Australia, and Austria pulled a reverse South Korea, I guess. Went 0-3 and 0-12.
Is the inverse of South Korea.
Yeah, poor Austria. Really, I'll say this about them. There was no chance in one of those matches. Like there was just nothing that could have been done to turn that one around. That's just kind of the not really the problem with events like this, just the eventual outcome here is that in most of these group brackets, somebody looks bad, and it was Austria in this particular group. For Group F, however, we had Canada come in at 3-0-1 with an 11-2 map record. Looked really, really strong. So shout outs to our friend of the show, Mengichu, who has been on the show with us before. So we always automatically root for him. And then Russia came in second place. Now, I did not grab the actual playoff round. I do know the two teams that advanced, but I want to make sure I give you guys the map scores as well. So just bear with me one moment here. Did you get to watch any of it this weekend, or were you too busy with the move?
No, the move pretty much wiped it all out of me. I didn't really have. I had internet at my girlfriend's house, which is where I was staying.
Torbjorn?
Torbjorn, actually, she might be the same height as Torbjorn. How tall is?
Got to be pretty close. I don't know. Shorter than the average human, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's see. I want to see. I really just want to see how tall he is. Let's see. She is. Let's see. Torbjorn is.
I don't even know whose height you're giving us anymore, Maddie. Is it or Torbjorn's? I can't tell.
Wait, it doesn't have it.
Yeah. Anyways, he's around dwarf height. But for the tournament here, we did have South Korea go against Russia, still not drop a map on that one, 3-0. And Canada 3-0'd Netherlands to move on in the bracket here. So it looks like, as hyped as everybody is about how good Canada looked, it looks like they're going to face South Korea right away here. So could be a little bit brutal. But keep an eye out this weekend. We do have the last set of groups. We have Group G and Group H to play out here over in the United States and California. So make sure if you're in the area, we're super jealous. You should be going, and we're mad at you if you're not. Not really, but we would be if we were anywhere nearby. So we're going to be looking at Group G made up of Brazil, the United States, Taiwan, and New Zealand. And in Group H, we have Germany, the UK, Israel, and Belgium. So looks to be, I don't know, you got any favorites other than the USA out of Group G? Who do you like in Group H?
I really can't root for. I can't even think about anyone that's not the USA. It's just an un-American question to ask.
Well, that's why I asked you about the other group. Because you know,
who are the four? I was looking up Torbjorn's height, which, by the way, my girlfriend is 4 inches taller than Torbjorn.
Oh, got there.
Yeah, got there.
She can almost see over the turret. So it is Germany, the UK, Israel, and Belgium.
Ooh, I want to say Belgium.
All right, who do you like, Germany or the UK? Let's simplify this a little bit.
Well, let's see. Germany has Internet Hulk, and the UK, but the UK has a really strong team too. So, but I don't know. I got to go with the player. I got to go with Internet Hulk.
Yeah, and both do definitely have really strong rosters, so it should definitely be a pretty good match there. I remember Germany. I believe they advanced last time around. They made it into the actual BlizzCon stage, so I'm sure it would be a disappointment for them if they were unable to make it that far. So we will have to wait and see. I know I'm very excited. Obviously, it'll be a lot of fun to watch Team USA in front of the home crowd. Anytime you've got a competitive team playing in front of their home crowd, I think it creates an added element that just makes it way more exciting. We're still Australia week of the World Cup that weekend was still by far the best in my opinion. So hopefully this one can match it, since the team I'm rooting for will be there as well. So we will look out, and then from there the World Cup will be on hold until BlizzCon, when the top 8 teams travel out there and play on land. So things will likely be slowing down after this weekend. I don't know of any other tournaments that are on the horizon. I've been a little, kind of laser focused in on this one. So we'll have to wait and see. Keep an eye out for that, and we'll talk more about anything that's upcoming during next week's episode. So that pretty much wraps up the tournament talk here, and now we're going to move on. We got just a ton to talk about here.
So much.
Oh, let's break it down!
So we're going to break it down now, and I'll start us off here, Blevins, with there's some new OWL teams in the mix. There's one already announced, and Manny Anacol actually kind of led the way here as far as reporting this. And he did clarify it a little bit. He goes, since sources are now the new reporting, he'll tell you that he's heard from multiple sources. So this is not official news that Blizzard Entertainment will announce more Overwatch League teams next week. That means this week. So you're in the middle of the week. You're watching it or listening to this on Wednesday, and we're recording on Tuesday, so it's just tomorrow. Hopefully there's not, I don't mind if there's any new announcements since then, but it does bother me when things get announced immediately after we're done recording.
Yep. That was a classic Hearthstone podcast problem.
Yes, we had a very, Monday is not the ideal day of the week to do podcasting. It's just the one that works for our two schedules combined the best by far, since Tuesday's patch day. But anyways, I'll digress. Now, we clarified it as sources and not an official announcement. But it sure looks really official when you follow it up with this announcement. Ken Hirsch is an oil tycoon. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but that's the one I'm going with.
Probably.
Has invested $35 million into Team Envious, and Team Envious has since secured an Overwatch League spot in the Austin-Dallas metropolitan area. So I know A. Smith is super hyped about this. Dallas is kind of his region. That's the city he was hoping his team would go to, and he got a really nice roster there. Obviously, Envy's been at the top of the heap for a long time. I'm sure everybody in that region's pretty excited to be getting one of the better rosters. Now, the player announcement, the signing, the roster isn't official, but when you're carrying one of the better rosters, I can't imagine you're going to change it up too much moving into the Overwatch League. So I do expect at least 4 or 5 of the 6 that are currently there to stick with them through the league.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about this for me is that he invests $35 million into it. 20 of that we're assuming is going into the spot itself, right? So that leaves $15 million going into an Overwatch team. So I guess, is that going completely into the Overwatch side? Does Envious? I think Envious has other esports properties. I want to say. I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah, it's unclear if that's all earmarked for Overwatch or not, and I just want to real quick apologize. You're not going crazy. You did not get a Facebook notification. That was me, and I'm a terrible podcaster, and I left it open. So my apologies that everybody heard that notification. You can go ahead and stop looking for that now. But yeah, I'm trying. What were we just talking about here?
So Envious gets $35 million pumped into it from Ken Hirsch. 20 of that we're assuming, if the Dallas spot costs as much as the other spots, 20 of it is going into Overwatch, like $15 million going into an Overwatch team, like outside of the spot, seems like a lot of investment at this point, considering some of the other numbers we've seen. Like, we have not seen a number like that get put into, at least not publicly, into an Overwatch team.
The amount wasn't super relevant, but we saw Immortals get the influx of cash and sign some new investors previously, and I don't remember specific numbers from that. That's definitely an interesting question of whether or not that's all earmarked for Overwatch or whether it's going to be shared with the other games. But one thing, we're going to talk a little bit more about what some of the numbers of the salaries and what these players are going to be getting paid. And there's bonuses built into contracts as well that are performance based, things like that. So I'm assuming, $20 million buys you the spot, right? But you're going to need some money in the war chest left over. So I would assume it's all kind of around for the league because,
right. But we can go into the numbers in a second when we talk about it, but the numbers, you're not well, I guess we can talk. Well, we can talk about it a little bit here now, just to get the numbers in play. The minimum salary for Overwatch League players, and this is, of course, was announced last week, I believe. We've got some details on some of the league minimums for salaries, as well as some of the other things that we need. And actually, we're getting a note here from A. Smith that says that that Envious might be buying an LCS spot, which costs about $10 million, which is League of Legends. So that would make sense. That's pretty much enough to buy the Overwatch League. That's probably enough to buy the Overwatch League spot, the LCS spot, and also have extra money to pay the players. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the notes from this Overwatch League announcement about payments and whatnot are teams will sign player to a 1-year guaranteed contract with the option to extend the contract for an additional year. That's an interesting one. I mean, actually, I'm just going to save myself the time. Pretty much all these bullet points are interesting because we didn't know there were, we speculated for months and months about what this was going to be, and now we're actually seeing it.
Yeah, these are hard and fast details, the things we've been
this is
complaining
actually
about not having.
confirmed from Blizzard, not speculation. League minimum salary for players is $50,000 US per year. Not too shabby. Teams will provide players with health insurance and retirement savings plans. So $50K a year plus benefits. Although they're only signed for a year, so that's kind of interesting. Teams will distribute.
I'm guessing that's just the initial contract. I don't know for sure on that, but as far as the player signing period that's going on and active right now, these are the the limitations.
These are league minimums, so which is awesome. I'm imagining we're probably going to start seeing much more than that for some of the premium players. It'd be interesting to see like how much of a fight there's going to be for premium players, but. So the next one is teams will distribute at least 50% of their team performance bonuses, for example, money winning from playoffs and other league events, to the players directly. So that's awesome. So there's not going to be any shady like, oh, the organization gets all the money and then distributes it how they want. The players are getting 50% of their team bonus automatically, no matter what, built into the contract. And then, so those bonuses that were mentioned before, total bonuses available for Overwatch League teams in Season 1 will amount to $3.5 million US, with a minimum of $1 million awarded to the Season 1 champion. So that's a decent chunk of change.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely that's big news. That really kind of legitimizes everything here. And I know there's people freaking like 50K is not a ton for like a that's a league minimum. And granted, the NFL's is like 500K or something like that. But like the NFL's revenue,
NFL money,
right. The NFL's revenue is a very different conversation than a league that hasn't been formed yet. So and as somebody that makes under that, I can tell you that that's a comfortable living situation. So
yeah,
there's no need to worry about these players. Some of them are literally 17 years old, so that's infuriating. Let's not think about that anymore before I have to punch something.
So the one thing that I thought when I first I had only heard that number, I'm like, that's not enough money to live in California. Like that's literally below the poverty line in California. In certain parts of California. But one of the other bullets is teams will provide housing and practice facilities during the season which meet professional standards set by the Overwatch League. So you've got a place to stay too.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be big because it's a lot to ask a player to change teams. Now you got to go find an apartment there. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot to deal with. And on top of, here's your new teammates. You've got to gel with them. This will be better. Just here, they've got team apartments set up. And when so-and-so leaves the team, that spot opens up. He moves out. You move in. Everything will be good to go. And I think everything in this was really just phenomenal news. Like it legitimized everything, right? Like because there's some big numbers, like $1 million awarded to the season champ. So there's big money to be had, and there's livable money and quality income that you can make some serious savings with if you're a young kid that's before college age, which almost all of these guys will be. That's a lot of money even at a league minimum. So yeah.
So
there's a couple more here though.
Yeah, the other 2 points. Team roster, and this is another interesting one that we've been talking about for a while because we weren't sure how it was going to be. Each team roster must have at least 6 players. That's a no-brainer, but can have no more than 12 total. So we can have subs.
Yeah. Deep benches, we still don't know how that's going to be allowed to be used, maybe in the middle of a match, whether you can make substitutes or what have you. It'll also create this interesting, it won't matter Season 1 because everybody's there. But when Season 2 kicks in and there's traveling, who's on the travel roster, right? Like how many do you bring with you to the event and how many do you leave at home and things like that. Especially recently, we saw, I believe it was Immortals kind of pulled off a sub in the middle of an event. and it was a performance-based substitute, and it worked out well for them.
Yeah.
So I think that piqued my interest in wondering about how subs will work and replacements and everything like that. And I think that's a really interesting competitive advantage for teams to use. Like the team that uses their full 12 roster spots to the biggest effect, I think will have a very significant advantage over teams that just like, well, here's our 6 people, go, make it work, like play the roles. But if there's a team that says, okay, we think that because Roadhog's really bad right now, he's likely to get buffed. So why don't we grab Himsy now while he's cheap, ink him to a deal, and then he's playing with us through the entire season. The buff comes in, and now you've got him to throw in, and you can, depending on the rules, you might be able to say, not in the middle of a game, I'm sure, but all right, we're going to this map. We definitely love Roadhog here, so let's bring him in and switch him out in the middle of the tournament. So it's really, really interesting that they're able to carry 12. That allows them to think, not even backups or replacements, but like developmental people, really young players, guys like Super, that maybe you have a tank that's better than Super, but he's so young. How do you not bring him in, have him learn from the other players nearby, get him used to things now and help him grow. So all the stuff like that is going to be a whole lot of fun to watch. And that's the kind of stuff we're going to talk about it a lot too, because that's the stuff I love. Like when I look at my NFL team, I can pick up in the middle of the off season with nothing going on. I can spend hours researching and looking at things about my team because I want to know, what are the needs for the team when they're going into the draft, stuff like that. And you can really go super deep, into benches and evaluating full rosters as a 12 instead of as a 6, and that'll be a lot of fun to be had with those bench spots, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome, and we've actually seen, for those of you who follow the fighting game community, Echo Fox actually kind of did that with their fighting game crew. I guess they're not all for the same game, obviously, but Echo Fox basically jumped into the fighting game community by taking like the top 3 or 4 best established fighting game players, Mewtwo King, Justin Wong, and I don't remember the other person, but like established, like have been in esports for years and years, top performers, and then also brought in 3 or 4 of the up and comers. There's this one guy named something Fox. I can't remember. I'm blanking, but he's like one of the best Mortal Kombat players in the world, but he's like 17 or 18. And blending them together, and they wrote up a whole piece on it. It was awesome about exactly what you were saying, where you've got the established good players mixing with the up and comers and the new pups of the scene that are going to form the scene for the next 5-10 years. And I think that's just a really awesome way to look at it. And it's no surprise that Echo Fox, owned by Rick Fox, would make a move like that. It just makes the most sense. If you've got the money and the resources to do it, like do what makes the most sense. It's
a savvy thing. It's how you develop a dynasty. It's how you maintain success over time, which gives at the end of the day, everything's about the almighty dollar, right? So it's how you provide the most return on investment for these teams and these owners that just shelled out $20 million to buy their team,
and for the fans, right? It gives you the most value to the fans. It's like, oh well, we're gonna root for a good team and love a good team for a long time. And then the last one, which actually might be the biggest point of contention from these, is that there is no region locking in terms of place of birth or home country of origin for any player.
Good.
No region locking.
Good. Yeah, we were on record as not hoping that would be the case, so round of applause for that being them making what we believe to be the correct choice there.
I want to just wrap this up with a point that I realized, because from the Overwatch perspective, 3.5 million in total prize pool, 1 million of it going to the champions, seems like it's a lot, and that's awesome. However, if you're coming from other esports, specifically Dota, which the international is going on right now, first place for the international, $10 million. With second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth place all earning more than $1 million. So you could come in from that angle and be like, well, is it really legit? Like they're only making $1 million for the champion of season 1. What I would say to that is the actual total prize pool and prize money for the league is so much less important than the infrastructure that's being built for it. The location-based teams, the league minimums, the health insurance for the players, the fact that the teams distribute 50% of the performance to the players, vastly, in my opinion, makes up for, season 1 only being 3.5 total, 3.5 total million for the prize pool. Not to mention the fact that Blizzard is not closed-minded to the crowdfunding for their tournaments.
They've said they're going to do it. They're going to sell team-specific items in-game, and portions of that money are going to go to, paying for the broadcast, a little bit, funding the infrastructure some, but also to the prize pool for the league itself.
Awesome.
So definitely keep an eye out for that, and it's definitely going to happen. And in the announcement here, they said it's a minimum $1 million. Like they're guaranteeing a $1 million bonus to the season 1 champion, but it should be higher. It will be higher. Will it be 10 million of Dota? No, because Dota has the biggest prize pools in esports.
Well,
so
I don't know. It might.
It would be unreasonable to expect season 1, in my opinion.
For season 1,
yeah,
sure.
to overtop 10 million, I do think is unreasonable for the first season. But in time, there's no reason it can't.
That's just 10 million for first place. The total prize pool is $24 million.
Right.
Which is insane.
Yeah, they're definitely crazy. They're definitely doing a lot right in their esports department over there, including letting you watch the finals in the client. It's just the greatest thing I've ever heard of.
So good.
Anyways, get on it, Overwatch. I want to watch it with my own camera. But let's move along here, as we are a little over halfway through the show, and we still got a laundry list of kind of smaller topics to discuss.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think there's a decent chance at least they spawn side conversations. So
I can think of at least one that will.
yeah. Let's get to it right away. So we have 2 staffing signings here for these Overwatch League teams. The first one, and we're going to start here because it's just a better team and a better franchise. Scott Tester has been signed by the New York Overwatch League franchise, the soon-to-be named New York team, the one that was bought by the Mets owner, Wilpon. So they have hired Scott Tester, not a name I'm very familiar with, but obviously a former Blizzard employee. He's going to know a little bit about the game, I would assume. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see exactly what kind of impact these guys have. And we know a little bit more about the next one. The Craft Sports Group looks to hire Huck as the first esports hire for their organization. Now, Huck is been on the Canadian committee to pick the players this year. He also was spending some time doing some scouting in Korea, I believe I heard. I don't have anything official on that, but
also worked with Toronto Esports.
Gotcha.
Very closely.
Gotcha. And I do also know that since he signed with the Patriots organization, he's dead to me. So we have that. He has that going for him. So yeah. But anyways, so yeah, I think these are honestly probably the most interesting news, right? Because this is like, I'm assuming like the general manager of the team, right? These are Robert Kraft. He barely knows anything about football. He knows a lot about cheating, and he knows a lot about business. I'll give him that. Like, he's not a stupid man, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say he hasn't had a ton of time to play Overwatch since the game's come out. So he might not be the best talent evaluator. So they're going to be bringing in these guys to help them set up the organization, get everything they need for the players, and help them sign their players. As that window is open, and we've yet to see any major signings, as far as any rosters go. One thing we did skip, and it looked for a second like we might have had a roster, but the Shanghai team, there's the owner of it, right? NetEase, the company, has decided to launch Team CC, which is going to be playing in the OW. Oh, geez, where is it? The Overwatch Premier Series. They signed a team to participate in that event, and it's really their first time. Now, they're going to own an Overwatch League team. We already know that. But they announced a roster, and it looked like it might have been an Overwatch League roster, but I think something got lost in the translation, and that's not the case. But I would say, presuming they do pretty well, and I don't know what the date of that event, but these are guys to be on the radar, right? Like, they didn't just pick them from a hat. They picked players they thought could succeed. And if they have some success with it, it might be that they keep rolling with them. Since it's not an Overwatch League team, we won't go through the roster. But one thing I want to talk about is, like, let's just hope they get better at naming things, right? I have nothing against Team CC. I guess that's the name of the streaming platform they own. Yeah. But if there's a team out there in the league called the Shanghai CCs, like, that's just a terrible name. And I'm sorry to everybody over there that works for NetEase. It's fine for a non-league team, but once you tie in the city name to it, I don't like it. It becomes just weird and clunky. So hopefully they come up with a better name than that.
So on the one hand, like, you don't see, like, in United States professional sports, you don't really see, I guess, except with the exception of the Mighty Ducks, you don't really see like the sponsor or the owner of the team bringing their, like, product into the team. Right, I can't think of an example, with the exception of, like, the Mighty Ducks, which is kind of that when they bought when Disney bought the team or whatever. But, like, for soccer, there's, like, the New York Red Bulls, which is, like, very clearly a tie to Red Bull. I'm pretty sure they're a sponsor, and there's some other ones that are like that for soccer. So it's not out of the question that you'd see, like, the, like, Los Angeles Twitch TV get, like, I think it would be stupid if they did that. Like, it would sound really stupid, and it, like, cheapens the brand. But if they do it in a cool way, like, that's fine. But then when the ownership changes, then it's just awkward. But I don't know.
Yeah, the only exception I could think of, and it's in esports, is the Detroit 5 Hour Energy Renegades, or whatever their official name is.
Right.
Has always been awkward. And just to clarify, before we get too far away from it, A. Smith did fill in some of the gaps for me here in chat, and he said Huck was actually meeting with Birdring from Kongdu Panthera in Korea. So somebody already kind of on the radar here. Clearly, Huck landed in Boston with a plan and people to target immediately, and went to have some early conversations with him. That would be my impression as to what that's all about. Obviously, nothing official has happened. No signing has taken place, or that probably would have been the headliner to start the show. But yeah, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. I think those two teams, really, Boston and New York, are the ones I would expect to try to hit the ground running with signings, because they have zero roster right now. They have nothing to go off of or build from. So they have to start from scratch. They have the most work to do.
They don't have Envious.
Right. Yeah. Envious and Immortals are probably pretty close to done with who they want to have on their team. Right. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens here. But those are really where I'm going to keep my eye out and look for the first couple signings to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, it would be in the vein of the New York, Boston, like, evil empire. Both of them, of course, are evil, depending on who you ask. But it would be in their wheelhouse to just get the best Korean teams for the U.S. for the U.S. spots.
Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if, since word's out there that Huck is talking to Birdring, I wouldn't be surprised if New York has already sent somebody out there to talk to him and tried to sign him. There's a huge rival. Like, New York and Boston, you guys think I hate Boston, right? Not even close to how New York City hates Boston. It crosses all sports, all everything. There is a very deep-seated rivalry there, and I'm glad they both have a team. Like, if one of them's going to have a team, the other one probably should have, and I'm glad it happened that way. So. Moving on here, though, we'll kind of move away from the Overwatch League a little bit. That's all the headline news we have for the time being.
Yeah, it's going to be covered for the next 20 years by us, so we'll get the other stuff sometime.
And plenty of opportunities. I think even by next week, I'm expecting some sort of player movement or an additional team to be announced, something. So hopefully, knock on wood, we can have a weekly update on the Overwatch League and talk about all the news, and we don't have to talk about wanting to hear details, because they're starting to come finally. As if it's going to play out this season, it's got to happen pretty quick. So
That's true.
And I think the player signing period closes early October, maybe it's late October. I don't know. But anyways, moving along. We have some other announcements from some teams here. Not all of them good, unfortunately. Liquid has decided to drop their Overwatch team. They have left Overwatch completely. They are going to keep a couple of the players in the organization, I heard, probably just as streamers or something like that. But
Yeah, probably Rafa playing.
Oh yeah, that could very well be true. Yeah. But anyways, they've all but said, sources close to the organization have said they do not expect to be pursuing an Overwatch League spot, which is unfortunate. It's a big name in esports, so one that I would have expected personally to make a run at it. I think the league will be fine without them, but nonetheless, it might have been a little bit better with them included. So.
Yeah.
Moving along here, though, we also have Kaiser has run away from C9, as I believe A. Smith put in the cleverly worded announcement. Congratulations on that one. He has left the team, and really in a upheaval, I guess. I don't know what's going on with C9 right now. I don't know what their whole roster looks like at the moment, but they don't have a replacement for him as of yet that I know, and it's going to be interesting to see where we go. They don't have an Overwatch League spot locked down yet, so are they contemplating it? Are they gonna back off from it? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Definitely no details there. Any thoughts on Kaiser has gone to join Runaway, the team. That's why the pun was funny. So yeah, we will keep an eye on him, as obviously he was a strong player, and I thought did some good things for C9. And it does sound like he left the team. He wasn't dismissed from the team. So that's at least the impression I got from the wording in the announcement.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes me think, because like all these people are in NDAs right now. The players, the orgs, all that stuff. They can't say anything about what's going on with Overwatch League, any of that stuff. So like, what we can draw from this is like, it doesn't give me a good feeling that Cloud9 is going to get an Overwatch League spot, which is sad because they've been one of the mainstays in Overwatch at the top for quite some time. I think I would imagine a lot of these esports orgs thought they were going to get the California team or one of the California teams.
Just about everybody we talked to going into it was like, we really want LA.
The LA team. Yeah. We're going to get the San Francisco. It's like, well, Shaq has more money than you, so sorry. And I'm just guessing once Rick Fox finally decides to come and buy the Toronto team, then I'm hoping that would just be my dream. But like, it's sad, but it's true. Like, these non-VC, non-huge corporate partnership teams, like, what are they supposed to do? Where are they supposed to get $20 million from? If they can't find the right partner, or they don't want to do the partner, like, you can keep surviving. You don't need to be in Overwatch League. It's just sad from our perspective that we don't get to see these teams. So when a player and from the player perspective, like, yeah, if you're a professional Overwatch player, obviously you want to be in Overwatch League. Like, you don't want to be with a team that's not going to be in the Overwatch League. Like, it's just not. I can't imagine that's where you want to be. It's like wanting to be in the NBA developmental league or like Canadian football or something. Like, you don't.
Nobody's ever grown up dreaming of playing minor league ball.
Right. Exactly. So if you don't think the team's going to make it and you think you are going to make it, like, get out now and make your move and start having those conversations with people. So like, when we start seeing these players leaving and they're leaving of their own volition, like, unless there's something, that we know about from the team and player dynamic, I have to imagine it's just not looking good for that team getting a spot.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I think there's also something to be said for the fact that, he went from NA to Korea, and I'm not going to say it's not warranted, but I do think it's overdone, right? Like, the Korean talent pool is romanticized and, like, overhyped to the point where there's people out there that literally think, like, the NA pros like Immortals and Envy, even though you can watch Envy play against them in their tournaments and do really
Yeah.
well, they don't belong there. That they're at a
Right.
lower level, and I don't think that's necessarily the case. I do think there's some individual players. That really kind of go above and beyond what we have over here for their specific roles, but
Sure.
I don't know that across the board, the entire talent pool is significantly better, probably by a little bit. But I don't think I think it's way overblown. So, but with that said, I mean, you have teams and organizations coming in from outside the game, without that huge knowledge that just they can do their research and they can find out. And you ask anybody where the best players in the world are, even myself, I would probably have to answer Korea. But it's close, right? But as soon as you say that, they're going to go, okay, well, let's go look at Korea and
Right.
let's go find them. So it might just be easier to get publicity and get the attention of people if you're playing in the bigger Korean leagues and tournaments.
Right.
The only exception to that would be Contenders. Obviously, if you have a
Right.
spot in Contenders, that's a really big platform. It's directly tied to the league, so it makes a lot of sense that would be the best place to be. But Cloud9's not in Contenders, so Kaiser ran away and
Right.
went to join Runaway.
Right. And I mean, that's what old StarCraft 1 pros would do. They'd move, like United States StarCraft 1 pros would go to Korea to play. Like that happened all the time. So, I mean, the esports culture there is just so much more accepting. So, like, the infrastructure and whatnot is built out in such a way that you can just, like, your 9 to 5, well, it's probably more than that, but like your 9 to 5 can be esports pro, and it's like accepted and even glorified and whatnot, much more so than it is in America. So
Yeah. Well, moving along here, we do have another couple of announcements. The Rest in Pajamas, formerly Ninjas in Pajamas, has been picked up by, I'm going to butcher the name, Giganti? I don't know. Probably one of those two, but it is an organization over there in the European scene. So they are definitely still going to be around. It's great to see rosters stick together and move orgs rather than break up. And we've seen both, and I understand both. But nonetheless, especially this one, right? Because they've been so good in the past and they're not now, that it's going to be really fun and entertaining and insightful to watch them rebound and get back into it. And, is it going to be, are they going to break the meta with a new comp, or are they going to finally learn the old one? I don't know, but I can't wait to find out. So we will have to keep an eye on them. Also, that should mean Giganti will be in Contenders, right? Because the roster spot should have stayed, or the contender spot should have stayed with the team, not the organization. So
you'd think so.
You'd think so, but then we got people selling them, and I just want to say, I don't think we talked about it and properly went on a tangent and a rave about that. I don't want to see that spot sold. That is really upsetting to me that they would consider selling it if it doesn't go to LG Evil or Envision, who, if they were in EU and finished where they finished, would be in Season 1 already. They would have already qualified, but because spots were held for Envy and Rogue, and I get it, those spots needed to be held. But if a third team comes up that's not LG Evil or not Envision, or it's not LG Evil playing against Envision to find out who's going, I'm going to be really upset about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to see them selling that. Sorry, I carry them. We've graduated beyond that in esports in North America here. Relegation and purchasing of spots and all that stuff. I don't want to see us go back. I don't even want that to touch Overwatch. I hate the idea of it. That's not competition. That's pulling a Yankees and buying your championship. I want nothing to do with it. And I would be really, really upset to see anything happen other than LG Evil take that spot. And the reason I say that is just because I think if you played Envision against LG Evil would win that fight about 9.5 times out of 10. So, moving back along here, though, looks like, well, Blevins, why don't you do the last? So I feel like I've just been doing all of these. So.
Yeah, no. And actually, there's one other one that I forgot to put in here, but that was interesting and could potentially tie into Overwatch League, though. Since actually, it might tie into Overwatch League. Counterlogic Gaming, the hat that I'm wearing right now, CLG Devin, the CEO of CLG Devin, Devin Nash was on our team, or was on our show. They partnered with, or were majority purchased by, I don't remember which it was off the top of my head, by Madison Square Garden Network. So like, in New York City. So we might be seeing CLG coming to New York.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they would be willing to put two teams in New York. Now, just about every sport that has a New York team, there's two of them, right? It's the same. Basketball, or not? I don't know about basketball. Is there a second one?
Brooklyn. Yeah, there is
Okay.
Brooklyn.
So then we also have baseball, football, and hockey. There's two teams in New York, so we can't close the door on a second team going there. If there's ever a place where
Wait,
that would
isn't
happen,
there? There's 3 teams well, not in New York City, but there's 3 teams in New York State
for what?
in football.
No,
in
there's
football.
there's only one team in New York State, and that's the Buffalo Bills, because the other ones actually play in New Jersey, is where the home stadiums are. But yeah, anyways, but yeah, as far when we say New York, we're going to mean the city. Like 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
I can imagine in this context. So
Right, unless we're talking about where we live, which is in New York, but not the city.
right, as far away from the city as possible while still being in the same state.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was interesting. I actually reached out to Devin again when that announcement happened, and I'm going to be in talks with him. He can't really say anything now about Overwatch League. I asked him specifically about it to try to either get some players or something on Overwatch League. They're all NDA'd out, can't say anything on it. But I think that it's interesting to say the least. I know they focus very heavily on League of Legends, so that Overwatch might not be their main focus, but they have had a very solid Overwatch team for quite some time. So I would be interested to see where they're going to go with that. Hopefully hopefully we can get something from them at some point. But moving right along, interesting little note here. We've got the first pro female gamer playing in the Apex Season 4.
Overwatch's first pro female.
Overwatch's, right. Well, I mean, the first one playing in Apex Season 4. So that's interesting. I mean, honestly, like, I don't know. I just consider it like a non-issue for me. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, but I mean, it is cool. Yeah, it's Overwatch Pro Gigri signs with the Rocks Orcas. I mean, she's a good player. Like, it's surprising to me that she's on a pro team, but people made a big deal out of it. So
yeah, I mean, it's great to see, and it's going to get headlines. It's one of those things, though, like, ideally, like, the headlines in and of itself are almost insulting, right? Because why would it be a surprise that there's a female out there good enough? But
Right.
At the same time, it does make sense that they would be less common, because I just think video games as a whole are more, skew more towards the male demographic than female. Obviously, Overwatch is kind of one of those games that confounds that a little bit, because of the focus on the heroes, and the strong female heroes that are in the game is going to attract some. But yeah, I don't know. This was kind of nothing to me, but nonetheless, it's important to some people, and it's big news if it is important to you. So we didn't want to completely gloss over it, but our disinterest in it is more just like, yeah, of course there's pro female gamers, like that makes nothing but sense to us, like so
right. And it's not super important to us, but it's good.
right. Yeah, it's only not important to us because it's, to us, should just be standard. Like, it shouldn't be odd.
Right. And then one of the last pieces we've got is that Hollywood Hammers has released their Overwatch team. So rip.
Did you release your jersey?
I did not.
Into the wild.
I should, because it has the wrong name on it, but
No, it's got the right name. It's got the right name.
No, it does not.
It's got the perfect name. I could not
wearing-
have chosen a better name for the back of your jersey.
There's a reason I'm wearing my Rogue jersey right now, not the not the Hammers one. But I mean, ever since Hammers lost their original, or sold, or whatever it was, with their original roster, they just have not been able to catch back up. But I really want to see them back in Overwatch. And maybe I haven't talked to Rage in a while, who's one of the owners of Hammers, but he's always said he wanted to be on the show. So maybe we can get him on the show, or get some players on the show or something.
At a bare minimum, we'll have to make sure if they do re-enter the scene, so he can hype up the new roster.
Exactly, which would be awesome. So, yeah, I'm surprised we rattled through all that stuff. There's just so much. Like, we probably could. We probably could talk for another hour on the Overwatch League stuff, but we're gonna have so much. We're just gonna have so much time to talk about it over the next few weeks. So,
And despite the fact that we do find a way to enjoy the weeks off when we do skip an episode, we don't aim for that. We don't want that to continue to happen. But at the same time, we don't want to put out an inferior episode. So if we dive too deep, like there's no point in doing an hour and a half episode
Right.
on this stuff when there might be weeks when, we would want to check in with you guys, give you the details of the the Apex finals that wrapped up from 3 months ago, and then kind of we can go deeper on some of these things later on because we don't know. Like I said, we've got things like contenders coming up, but there's bound to be a break after next weekend's World Cup matches. There's bound to be like a down week or something like that coming up,
Right.
and if we can do anything like this to skip it for now and save some content to make sure we don't have to miss another episode, that's ideal. So yeah, we will kind of wrap things up a little bit here.
yeah. So I think that's going to be it. I'm also imagining that once Overwatch League gets in the full swing of things, we're going to have weekly talk points anyway. But yeah, that is gonna be it. Thank you everyone for listening. Like Deathblow said, we're gonna try not to miss any more weeks if possible. Yeah. So yeah. Any last second stuff, Death?
Nothing major on my end. Obviously, if you guys are looking to interact with us, you can find us. We did open the Discord server to the public, and I'm scrambling to look up any iTunes reviews because it's been a little bit, and I want to make sure I include those if we do have them. But all these things we're talking about, they're all announced as they happen on our Discord. And between myself, A. Smith, and Croak, we've done a really good job of keeping up to date on all of these news. When we build our notes now, that's where we go. Is the end. We don't go to Reddit. We don't go to our personal
I still go to
conversations. You check it, right? But we're getting most of the content from there. So big thank you to Croak and A. Smith for being moderators, helping us get these announcements out. There's times things come out at work, and I've got a customer in my ear, and I couldn't type it up if I wanted to. So it's definitely really, really helpful and much appreciated from that perspective. Also, before I give you an answer on the iTunes reviews, you can find us and find links to everything, including the the Discord, on our website. It is highnoonpodcast.com. Head over there. Links to the show, links to us as individuals on social media, just about everywhere. And that is a no on the new iTunes reviews. So what that means is, please leave us an iTunes review.
Yeah.
You can head on over to the iTunes page. I believe it's still linked at the top of our Twitter. So that's probably the easiest way for you guys to get to it. But head over there. Leave us a 5-star review. Let us know. You can leave us anything other than a 5-star review if you want to, though I'm looking at that 1-star review that promised he changed it if we fixed our audio issues, and it's not changed yet. I'm looking at you, Louise. But nonetheless, we appreciate any and all feedback, and honestly, stuff like that 1-star review might have been the most valuable review because it really let us know. Like, I don't think we knew at the time that we were still having major problems.
Yeah.
So any and all feedback is always appreciated, and as always, we will read your review on the podcast. I know you guys are still listening, but we're slowing down in the reviews, and that is definitely above and beyond becoming a patron and literally giving us money. I would prefer an iTunes review. So if you haven't done that, please do, and we really will read your message, and we really will appreciate the kind words or the not so kind words, whichever they may be.
I would like to say that I think the most valuable review was the first one by Prova the Nova, the best review.
I hear that guy's bad.
He is
Specifically at Heroes of the Storm and all mobile games.
Yep. No, not the mobile games.
He didn't. Prova the Nova did not win any money at a Clash Royale tournament this weekend, but I did.
That is true. That is sad but true. And then also, Overwatch Today is actually hosting a Overwatch podcasters show thing this Saturday. Panel that I think at least me is going to be on. I don't know, Death, if you're...
I was going to say at least I'll be there. So
it
sounds like we're both going to be there.
Maybe we're both going to be there.
And with both of us pretty sure we can make it, I think we'll guarantee... I'm going to go out on a limb and guarantee that at least one of us will be there.
At least one of us will try to be there.
Something might be going on this weekend, but I don't know if it's Saturday. Anyways.
I have something going on Saturday, but I don't know when the thing is. But regardless, definitely check that out. It's going to be over at twitch.tv/Overwatch today, I think.
Links, we will not be shy about linking it on Twitter. So if you're following us on Twitter, you can find it.
Yes. Okay. So for the longest outro ever, that's going to be a thanks, guys. Thank you, everyone that listened. Thank you to all the patrons. You can always check us out at patreon.com/highnoonpodcast. All of our stuff everywhere, all the links, highnoonpodcast.com. Huge thanks to Matcherino for providing us our SoundCloud link so all the SoundCloud listeners can head over to Matcherino and say thanks because we can listen to High Noon Podcast. Huge thanks to Adam Hoek for putting on the awesome outro music that we are about to hear in just a couple of minutes, and I'm slowing down to make sure Deathblow has the music queued up because I'm not running it. But guys, for Deathblow, I am the Blevins, and remember, it's High Noon.
Got his boots and he put on his hat. He threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now, God's my way. He's not good, but he sure ain't bad. He'll make amends for the sins that he has. He says, I'll change the world.